good morning. Today I'm talking about attachment theory and how your attachment style can contribute to a toxic relationship dynamic, to a very, very push-pull, difficult relationship. So attachment theory basically explains how the parent-child relationship develops in childhood and then influences the rest of this person's relationships throughout their life, into adulthood. It basically serves as, our attachment style serves as like a working model, like how we view relationships, how we view people throughout our lives. So understanding our own attachment style can be really, really helpful. It helps us understand how we function in relationships, our strengths, and sort of our vulnerabilities. And it can actually help you make sense of the types of relationships that you've been drawn to in the past. So yeah, understanding your own attachment style is really important. There's 4 types. There's secure, anxious or preoccupied, they also call it. There's avoidant, or it also can be called dismissive, and fearful avoidant. And so each of these 4 types have their own characteristics. It's too much to go into this video. I may end up talking more about it in the future, but if you don't know your own attachment style, I highly recommend doing some research and finding it out, because it can be very revealing as to why you may have ended up in toxic relationships. So let me explain a little bit about how this works. So your attachment style basically influences how you get your needs met and how you view relationships. So like I said before, your attachment style is your quote-unquote working model of relationships. What can happen is we can end up being drawn to people who confirm our working model of relationships, but who may actually be very, very unhealthy partners for us. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are a person who has an anxious attachment style. So when you have an anxious attachment style, you end up seeing relationships and the world through an anxious lens. And this could look like believing that most people are difficult to connect to. You need to be in constant contact with someone in order to keep them there. And just this general feeling of people can abandon me at any moment, right? So this is the anxious attached person's worldview of relationships. So what then ends up happening is, to confirm that worldview that the anxious person has, they may find themselves drawn to people who are more distant, who are more cold, who are difficult to connect with, who are more withdrawn. And so that's how your attachment style ends up sometimes getting you into these toxic relationship dynamics. So it's really like you are drawn to people who are in your comfort zone of what you were familiar with from your childhood. And to help you understand this a little bit deeper, if you are into spirituality and you understand what the ego is, basically the ego does not want to be proven wrong, right? So the ego is the attachment style. The ego is the worldview. The ego is the wounded child that sees the world and its relationships in a certain way. Like in the example I gave with the anxiously attached person, it views people as, in general, difficult to connect with, that they could abandon me at any time. So the ego does not want to be proven wrong. It wants to keep that worldview. So it looks for, unconsciously, people who will confirm that worldview. So this is how your attachment style can get you into difficult dynamics, toxic, I would call them toxic dynamics. I mean, you don't have to be in an outright abusive relationship to be in a dynamic that is very unhealthy and emotionally difficult for you or for someone. So this can be shifted. Let's say you have an anxious attachment style and you don't want to have that. You can shift this through lots of different healing modalities. I mean, some of the ones that I use are the energy healing and the mindset shifting, rewiring the brain to see things realistically. Because like in my same example with the anxiously attached person, it's not objectively true that people are difficult to connect with and can abandon you at any time. Some people are like that, yes, but there's many other people who are not. You just have to find them. So it's teaching the brain to see things realistically and to understand that, yes, it had these difficult experiences in childhood, but they are not the objective truth of relationships and of people in general. So yeah, you can rewire your attachment style to be more secure. And again, this just takes some work, some getting some support, using some healing tools. But yes, so I highly recommend doing some research into attachment theory and understanding your own attachment style and see how this has affected your relationships in the past, or maybe the one you're currently in. Yeah. Let me see. Is there anything else that I wanted to tell you guys? No, it's just like one of the most common toxic relationship dynamics that you often see when you view relationships through the attachment lens is the anxious avoidant dynamic. And the anxious person is wanting connection, wanting closeness, and the avoidant person is wanting distance and wanting separation. And so it's this continual push-pull that is a very, very difficult dynamic to be in, and I would consider it toxic. It's not a healthy dynamic to spend a long time in. All right, guys, if you have had some of these experiences yourself, like if you understand attachment theory and you want to share your experiences, please do. If you are interested in shifting your own attachment style, reach out to me, send me a message. It can be done. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.